It's July! Wah! Did you need that? Because I felt like I needed it. We just had an explosive weekend on the 4th of July. I don't like fireworks. I'm an August baby, so my mom was 8 months pregnant during my first 4th of July. She said that every time a firework went off, I jumped. And you know what still happens today? I jump every time I hear a firework. Anyway, so in the world of explosive energy, I'd like to do some connecting to our inner and outer realities. So I'm going to start with Forest of Enchantment today, and we're just going to check in with our overall inner reality. All right, so what is alive for us? Oh, not looking great. This could be a downer. And what does this mean externally? How is this showing up externally? Okay. All right. Oh, we're going to get some good medicine moving here through. Okay. I want to see, and what is the real life, what's the real life lesson around this? All right. You guys, we are in it for this quick little July reading. I think this is gonna. Oh, we got extra cards coming out. Okay. Oh, well, maybe not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. All right. So what's going on in your inner world? You probably know the answer to this better than I do. But there's some underlying energies of this Five of Boons. Now, what comes up for me as I look at this card? It's a lack mindset most of the time. It's not always about poverty. It's about not seeing the beauty of what's in front of you. And what's beautiful about this card right now is right where I have it, there's a rainbow shining through it. I don't even know where that rainbow's coming from. So I feel like this might be more of a clear reading here at the beginning of June. I guess we're like a weekend. But anyway, of really connecting with the ways of abundance. I heard a quote the other day of, we can have abundance of anything. We can have an abundance of lack, all right? We can have an abundance of poverty. We want abundance in the phrase of that there is more than enough of things that bring us joy, the things that keep us moving, that keep us secure so that we can take our biggest, boldest choice. For me, I think abundance, we want freedom, we want safety, we want ease. And, you know, if we have an abundance of freedom, that connects in with our financial prosperity, that connects in with how we use our time. All right. So I feel like that is the invitation of this card, because when I ask how this is showing up externally, I get the reverse Hermit. Okay. So it makes me feel that what might be coming up here, it's we're having an abundance of like maybe not realizing who your true friends are, or an abundance of feeling lonely. Now this isn't the most fun realm. I hate feeling lonely. I read this book for kids all the time. It's called Those Darn Squirrels. Those Darn Squirrels. And it always talks about the old man who lives alone and how he hates when the birds fly away because he's lonely. And I always ask the kids, I'm like, have you ever felt lonely? And most of the time they go, no. And then I go, well, that comes when you get older. Because kids don't generally have a sense of feeling alone, because there's always a grown-up nearby. There's always playmates available. They also have the ability to make anything a playmate. So I'd say that, like, in the world of abundance, children are able to connect in with the infinite abundance of companionship. They feel very connected to themselves, to their spirit, to that element of freedom. All right, so I feel like that's the invitation of these two cards together. Now, when I said, like, what does this, like, actually look like in physical reality, the first card that popped out was a reversed Hierophant, and the second one was reversed Temperance. Now, what I'm feeling with both of these cards coming up is a need, and the Hermit also being reversed. So how interesting that all the major arcana cards have been flipped upside down. Now, I think this ties in with a theme that we have been talking a little bit about throughout the course of my having this channel, and with the energy I've been feeling, is there's a large need right now to reverse your perspective, all right? To feel something different, to think of something in a different way, to literally stand on your head and look at it a different way. And I feel like, we covered what this meant with the Hermit as it relates to the Five of Boons, but as it relates to the Hierophant and Temperance coming in together, these feel to me to be very sacred masculine, feminine energies in unison here. And what I think that it's representing in the reverse perspective is that we're breaking down old structures and ways of being. We're kind of freeing ourselves from the limited thinking of the past, right? If we have an abundance of limited thinking, we're keeping ourselves held in patterns and things that don't necessarily serve us. And the invitation, the wind agrees with me. Hallelujah. And I think the invitation with Temperance in reverse is to let more of spirit in. If I look at both of these cards together, we think of Hierophant generally as the very grounded, like spiritual being or, priest or that sort of thing. There's somebody who's like indoctrinated into the old ways, right? So they're keepers, they're gatekeepers. Hierophants are almost gatekeepers all the time. But we're having to kind of free ourselves from that because, as we've learned, no one's a guru, and most people within religious orders and that sort of thing, like, also aren't, like, living fully integrated lives. I think when it comes to being a spiritual person here in the month of July, bringing it back to what this reading is about instead of all of time, what this is really about is claiming our own groundedness within our spirituality. And within our spirituality, we have many facets. Of course, we have our shadow sides, we have our inner child, we have all of our inner personalities, we have our past lives, we have our karmic ties, our soul lineage, our bloodlines, all of these pieces that can kind of keep us stuck into these realms of limited thinking that the Hierophant can represent. Now, he's not all bad news. Sometimes the structure of the traditional thing is the alchemical container that we need to take the next step of action. I think a lot about this when it comes to sacred union or to sacred sexuality, sacred marriage. It's not that we need to save ourselves from marriage necessarily, but we do need to implement sacred processes around lovemaking. The one night stand thing isn't generally a very spiritual passage, and usually creates more karma than it does solve it. Although sometimes it's wham bam, thank you ma'am, and we have we've sealed the deal on our karmic thread. No judgment there. I've been there. I've been like, you know what? We just got to bang this out so that we can close this loop. That's a real thing too. But even in that, there's an intentionality of sacredness in there, right? Now, that also, of course, depends on the other counterpart. I don't even know why I'm going there, but that feels relevant for today's message. Now, with this Temperance, I really feel like there's such a balance of that, right? And maybe that's the message coming up with the Hierophant, is that, as we temper and balance, we accept our grounded nature and our angelic nature simultaneously. And we really have to work to be present with these things. All right, I'm going to draw a plant medicine card because I feel like I want to get this summed up for what this represents here. Cordyceps, revival. Okay. So I feel like this ties in as like to tie it back into like this lack thinking, this limited perspection of what's showing up in your physical reality and what's not. Switch the perspective. Start to focus on what is there and what is working. And that doesn't mean you have to ignore what is not. You don't have to ignore the problems. You can still acknowledge that. But acknowledge the things that aren't problems. I love that I have running water in my house and it works amazingly well. It's hot, it's cold, it's everything I need it to be when I need it to be it. I love that I have a home, that I've got a great working car, that I've got someone who can change the air filter in my car, that I've got friends that I can call, when I'm having a hard day, or text when I don't know how to process my own emotions and I'm having trouble not regulating, like sitting with the gratitude of all that it is that we do have and focusing on those threads, especially as we're building this new earth, because we want to take forward what it is that works so that we can move with the old. I watched this great TV show called Sweet Tooth, and I highly recommend it in the world, and without giving too much away. But, you know, it has this, like, these hybrid human half animals, and they're kind of like the way of the future. But they're half human, half animal, right? So they take less from nature, from the earth, because they're animals and they like move within the cycles of the earth. But they're also still human, so they have to deal with like the moral stuff that comes up as they navigate their own layers of consciousness. So if we're working with cordyceps in this energy of revival, and I don't know if you all know, but cordyceps is a mushroom that requires death to grow, and it's not an innocent death. It's like caterpillars that like eat the wrong type of flower and they get a fungus and they die, and then that type of fungus is what cordyceps is born from. And what I love about that is that it shows us that death and life are a part of the full spectrum. You know, this, for me, I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian or any of that. I try to eat healthy meat that's been fed and treated well, to the best of my ability. But I do these things so that I need meat to stay grounded. It's a part of how I'm wired, and I recognize that in myself. So in doing that, I'm also honoring the death and rebirth cycle of I am what I eat, right? I eat death. And I eat death to nourish and ground me so that I can continue to go up and go high. So I think that this is kind of this essence of revival too. There's some DNA activations going on here. There's this intertwinement of the masculine and feminine. So I do feel like it's this grounded energy mixed with this like heavenly energy, or, you know, as above, so below. That's been a theme that's been coming up in a lot of readings lately. I love that there's this connection to spirit. There's this connection to the mountains. Like all of this is integrated within this whole. And there is this revival being born as we do this work to shed and release all of the pieces that are coming forth. So I hope that this message resonates with you as you move forward in July. I'm going to do a couple other July readings just in more specific areas. This was a general one. I just wanted to see what came through first. So that was that. And I send you all the invitation to revive where it is that you want to connect with abundance in your consciousness. So many blessings. Happy days. Oh.